One of the major challenges we have is the plastic which we see all around. But when we go back to our field, the involvement of tribal community, the involvement of locals, and involvement of youth from the local nearby villages was a very mammoth task, but we took it as the challenge which we continue to face. But I'm sure next decade is meant for this purpose, because United Nations has also set a United Nations decade on ecosystem restoration. We have multiple roles, but we have multiple responsibilities also. I remember one of the famous quotes in the Spider-Man's movie, that with greater power comes the greater responsibility. So the greater responsibility we have is towards our own planet Earth.
Hello and welcome everyone to Planet versus Plastics podcast series brought to you by Earth Day Network India. I'm your host Rumit Walia for this insightful journey into a world free from plastic pollution. Within our Planet versus Plastic podcast series, we have a small series after 15 episodes. We will be releasing an episode on people versus plastics. And for this first one, we have Mr. Nadeem Qadri, who is an environmental advocate as well as a person who has been doing so much in the Kashmir region.
But before we dive in, here's a quick reminder. The views expressed here are for general informational purposes, and we encourage you to do your own research. We're here to spark ideas, inspire change, and navigate the complexities of plastic pollution.
So, welcome, Mr. Nadeem, to this Planet versus Plastics podcast series. It's so good to have you from all the way live from Kashmir. And why don't you introduce your bit a little more to the audience about the amazing work you have been doing in Srinagar?
Thank you, Rumit, for giving me an opportunity. By profession, I'm an environmental lawyer. I practice before the Honorable High Court of Jammu and Kashmir from last more than a decade. But passionately, I'm into conservation, and wildlife is my core focus. So I have been into this from my childhood, but while understanding the nature and the idea of being into environmental law and jurisprudence, it has been a wonderful journey.
Wow. And I'll just right away start with the questions because that's what
Sure.
we do. I remember last year when I was in Kashmir and you were so kind taking me all the places to show all the conservation efforts. And I remember you took me to a national park. I think that was Dachigam.
Dachigam National Park,
Dachigam
yes.
National Park. So wonderful. And I was seeing the efforts that you and your team have made to eradicate plastic from all that area. And you were mentioning how the wildlife and the animals and the national park itself was very affected. So, would you share a bit more about how it was when you started doing the conservation efforts in that area?
Rohit, you say understand while we are into environmental conservation, one of the major challenges we have is the plastic which we see all around. And I'm extremely grateful. The Earth Day has been always spearheading this movement of plastic versus, planet versus plastics. But this year's theme has added a great value to what we have been doing since last more than a decade. I remember it was 2010, we initiated an Go Green Dachigam, a campaign with our college students and the law students, including some good friends who believe in the common idea of wildlife conservation. And the Dachigam National Park, we're facing a lot of challenges and a lot of footfall from the tourists, from the local tourists. And it was a challenge for us to make sure that we start the cleanups. And I think the credit goes to the Earth Day family for actually giving us that idea of how we can be a part of this great global cleanups, the initiatives and other part. And 2010 to 18 was something like an all the 8 years of cleaning up the national park. But I must congratulate Department of Wildlife Protection for rendering all possible assistance and support. For now, we have the Dachigam as one of the plastic-free national parks in the country, and we have a privilege now to share with you that on the occasion of Earth Day 2018, they got certification as the one of the cleanest national parks in the country. So it was not an easy task. We make sure that every Sunday we take volunteers along, go take students along, and ensure that the Dachigam remains plastic free, as it is known for the home for a very critically endangered species, hangul, which is known as a Kashmiri deer. as service Hanglu Hanglu. So yeah, we felt it is very important for all of us to give more attention to our critical ecosystems like national parks. But we are happy and pleased that Earth Day's contribution as part of the helping us with values, conservation beliefs, that yes, we can someday reach to that level. And with a grace of friends like you and those all, Dachigam is now a plastic-free national park.
That's amazing. And I love how you also engage the community and people are continuously going to that place. On that note, how easy or how difficult, if that's the case, has it been with you, like engaging all the students, the communities? Because I believe not just university students, it's also the resident of that area around
Yes.
who are protecting it. So how has that been? Like, was it easy, or what were the challenges you
See,
faced?
Rumit, yes, very relevant. For a lawyer, we have always been trained as in professionals to go before the Honorable Chief Justice's court and argue our matters. But when we go back to our field, the involvement of tribal community,
Yeah.
the involvement of locals, and involvement of youth from the local nearby villages was a very mammoth task, but we took it as the challenge because the natural resource management actually flows on a public trust doctrine that says that the government are the trustees of the natural resource. But actually, it is the challenge that we have to get engaged with the community people who are actually the first stakeholders into the whole process. But the major success which I can recount for was only possible when we got a local support from the community volunteers, from the community tribal population, and they ensured that they have a real important stake in this whole process. So that was the challenge, but we took it, and I'm happy to share with you that all the nearby villages are now rendering all possible support to ensure that the home of the critically endangered deer species is safe and is well protected and well meaningfully to be presented to the world as one of the finest biodiversity hotspots in the country. And this could not have been possible without the local population's commitment and support. No doubt it is the challenge which we continue face, but I'm sure next decade is meant for this purpose because United Nations has also set a United Nations decade on ecosystem restoration. So I think sustainable development goals are equally going into a similar direction. And we have a core focus on goal 13, which is climate action. So I'm sure it was going to add some value in terms of elevating the local youth about the climate leadership and stewardship about their role in keeping now these natural ecosystems intact and ensuring that the clean water of Dachigam is well protected and preserved.
Wonderful, wonderful. And we always at Earth Network India also say that one of our favorite person to work with, and then because all the good work that you do, and that reminds me of the university, the Nature University.
Yes.
So I think the audience would love to know about that as well.
Before I go into my dream project of the Nature University, I'd like to share you about the journey I had.
Yes.
I was just a 16 years. I got an email from the Washington D.C. Saying that we will be happy to give you a membership of the National Geographic Society. It was a
Wow.
very much costlier membership those days, and I had no such uh, dollars in my pocket to go for a membership. But I was glad that they had sent a very beautiful gift to me. That is the membership which has come from when I was in ninth class. But at the same time, I must recapitulate all the historical importances attached to my profile. Is that it was my childhood dream actually to be part of this Earth Day family. When we were in the classes studying from nursery to 10th to 11th, then to go to college, so we were observing this idea of Earth Day every 22nd of year,
Yeah.
April, and but when Corona ma'am got introduced and we had an hand holding from ma'am, I think 2014 floods of 2014 in Kashmir was disastrous. It was an ecological catastrophe. But 15 was a game changer. Earth Day joined hands. They started mentoring me as a volunteer. Then I became a coordinator. Then I became an consultant. Now, being an advisor and part of this consulting family, I had learned many experiences in my life that how we used to address those climate issues, and how Earth Day has really helped me in particular as a lawyer to grow into an environmentalism. So I think I must give credit to Earth Day network, but there was a silver lining attached to it. When we joined Earth Day officially in the year 2015, 2016, I thought I must do something extraordinary on the occasion of the Earth Day. I did not told any of my advisors, friends, and mentors that what is the surprise. The surprise was the official unveiling of the logo of the Nature University.
Wow.
It became like a surprise for all of us, including myself, that 100 top bureaucrats, officials, retired officials joined on the Earth Day, and the Nature University seed was, sown for a larger good of the humanity. Now we are elated and happy to share with you that the official website has been officially launched just few days back on the occasion of the Earth Day 22nd April, which was on the thematic base of planet versus plastics. So Earth Day has literally, helped my ideas, wisdom, and knowledge to get enhanced. And that's what I consider myself as a hardcore green volunteer in this part of the world, which is very much critical under the challenges of Kashmir Himalayas. We have the melting glacier issues, we have the wetlands issues, we have lakes getting shrinked. So it's a bigger, larger challenge, but I'm grateful to all the friends who have handholded us, guided us properly. That's what you have a lot of good examples. Dal Lake turning into a
Yes.
better, cleaner lake. You have the Hokersar Ramsar site turning into a beautiful wetland. You have the Dachigam 100% plastic free national park. Lot of positivity around. But no doubt there are challenges, there are fundamental issues which we fight every day in the court of law. That's what we make the resolve to do something for our planet Earth.
Yeah, and that's really nice to hear that you actually, a lot of people just say that they're going to do this and they sometimes stuck in a bit of a work, but it's so good that how you also relate your profession, like as an environmental lawyer, you're also in front of a judge, always fighting for environmental justice
That's what,
and the species.
we have multiple roles, but we have multiple responsibilities
Yes.
also. I remember one of the famous quotes in the Spider-Man's movie, that with greater power comes the greater responsibility. So the greater responsibility we have is towards our own planet Earth. So it is not only what I am doing in this part of the world as far as Kashmir Himalayas are concerned. Everyone, I remember your journey as an climate ambassador to all the wonderful initiatives you have been taking. So this is everyone's responsibility towards our planet Earth. What
Yes.
I'm doing is might not be a 1% of the contribution which all of us together are doing, and we are growing every day as a family. Now we have more than 5,000 volunteers. We have those Go Green initiatives under the Planet versus Plastics theme. Very recently, we launched the Go Green Gulmarg, Go Green Pahalgam, Go Green Sonmarg, only to make sure that these critical tourist destinations, which are eco-fragile in nature, must receive a continuous attention and monitoring. No doubt the honorable courts are monitoring the ever developments and all the things, but at the same time, it is the responsibility of all of us, to contribute towards the sustainability. And that's what we consider lucky to be living in this part of the world, but adding more challenges to our profile every possible day. So that's what makes us a very much in terms of a thematically into environment, but practically also full time into this conservation, protection, and the preservation of our natural resources.
So beautifully you have mentioned all the things, and this is in fact, I want to tell you that this is, we have been doing this series, but within this series we have a small series that we are starting with you. It's called People versus Plastic, and you're one of the first to be featured from Kashmir, because we wanted to start from the very top, and from the very
Uh,
favorite person that we have.
I am, honored actually, as in first environmental lawyer of the Jammu and Kashmir. I fought very strongly in the court of law to have the plastic getting banned in this part of the world. is a long journey. I know how difficult it is for us as an officers of the court, but I'm sure when we have a million hands, trying to replicate the idea of the theme which we have, like planet versus plastics. So I'm sure like we need like the more champions and ambassadors like you who can disseminate this information, that it is not the pessimism which is carrying forward that planet earth is not going to be there. We are there from 4.5 billion years now. So but what is very fundamental is that it is a collective responsibility upon all of us, whether we are in legal profession, whether we are into science, whether into arts, whether into commerce. We all have to join hands for this planet earth to survive and to breathe fresh air, the plant more trees, go for more transportation. That's the idea that earth day as such has been an inspiration to all of us as part of the global campaigns being monitored and done under a one single banner. We take privilege and honor to be part of that bigger family. But as far as my profile goes, every day it is a fight for survival, and we'll be keeping on fighting for our planet earth.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Nadeem Qadri, for joining this, and it has been wonderful.
Such a pleasure, Rumit, to talk to you and to share my bit of an experiences and antidotes how we can do something for the planet Earth.
Yes, and for
Thank
the
you.
audience, remember, keep it clean, keep it green, and every day is Earth Day.